أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Last week we talked about why is it that we actually need Islam, that otherwise, people who are non-Muslims, they can be good, but in order to be actually great and to try to even be perfect, then Islam is required, right? To understand the deeper things about reality, to learn real truths, to see what is really good and bad. And then we asked a question at the end of last week as well, that sometimes we're really trying, we're striving, we want to do better, we want to become greater, we want to become try to become perfect, or as perfect as possible. But it seems like I put in the effort, I want to do better, and then something always gets in the way. So we have these things that have been mentioned in some of our narrations. So for today, I'll share with you one narration mentioned by the sixth Imam, Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, where he says that there are three things that can block somebody, to hold them back, to restrain them and prevent them from reaching these high spiritual stations. So what are these three things? The first one, he says, is qasrul himma. First thing is having just low energy, being unmotivated, right? And I'm sure we've all felt that. I think when I walked into art this morning, some people noticed that I looked a little sleepy. I didn't have a lot of energy. It's because I didn't have my coffee yet. That's probably one reason. But sometimes we get asked to do something, we want to do something, and we're just, I don't feel like doing it right now. I don't have the energy. I don't have the morale. I just don't feel like doing it. And then what happens? Do we ever end up actually getting to it? Probably not. We end up trying to figure out, and the way that we move in life is that motivation has to come to me, it has to be gifted to me, and then I'll go and do something. If we're just going to wait around for motivation all the time, and some people do that, then nothing will ever get done. The people who actually get things done are the ones who create motivation for themselves. And one way to kind of counter this is you think about it. Well, that happens to me sometimes when, before, let's say I go to the gym. I love going to the gym. I love working out, right? Especially the feeling afterwards, right? It gives you like an energy boost. You feel, much healthier, much stronger afterwards. But, sometimes you just don't feel like it. I don't feel like it. I'm tired. I didn't get enough sleep, whatever it is. So sometimes I don't end up going. And I'm like, maybe I'll go later. Maybe I'll go tomorrow. Then what happens is that same feeling comes back tomorrow or later on, that, oh, well, I didn't go yesterday. What's the point of going today? When you have low motivation, it ends up stacking up a lot, right? It adds up. But then what happens is sometimes you try to counter it. Like, hold on, I'm not feeling great right now, but if I do go, and when I do go, I know how good I feel afterwards. So even if I go, the workout's not great, it's not perfect because I'm so tired right now, but I know that afterwards I'll feel great because of that, right? Even if it gives me a little bit of a boost. And then sometimes I do end up doing that, and I come back, I'm like, I'm so glad I decided to do that. So when you feel that low energy, that low morale, that just not being motivated, realize that in order to get motivated for other things, I need to start doing something now. I need to force myself. I need to tell motivation, you need to get motivated. Right? We have to create that for ourselves. So that's one thing, is don't wait for motivation to come to you. We have to make it happen for ourselves. The second block, the second obstacle that the Imam says is qillatul hila, is that some people, whenever they want to get something done, they try to plan a little bit, but they plan for a short amount of time. They don't do a lot of planning, a lot of strategizing. There are sometimes we have these great ideas in mind, right? I want to get a project done, I want to get something done, and we think about it for maybe 1, 2, 3 seconds, and then we go off and we do it right away. The Imam says, no, this is going to actually block higher goals. A true mu'min, a true individual who's utilizing the abilities that God has given them, is somebody who sits and they strategize a lot. They don't just think one step ahead, not even 5 steps. Sometimes it's 10, 20, 30 steps ahead. They think about backup plans. They think about backups to their backup plans too. It's a lot of thinking sometimes, but when you do it a lot, it becomes second nature. It becomes like a reflex. Now, normally the example I would give is probably through chess. But because I can't ask the question here, because some of you are in the taqlid, the Sayyid Sistani, and if I ask you about chess and you say yes, then I can't let that happen in public. So I have to go with a different example. How many of you play Risk? I've played Risk, right? Okay, only one. That example is not going to work either. any board game at all that requires some strategizing, right? Or any card game. I mean, technically, even Uno requires some strategizing too, right? When you see that you only have maybe 2 or 3 cards left, but 2 of them are the same color, 1 of them is not. You have to figure out, how do I get it to make sure that this last card I can actually win with this? If you just start throwing down whatever card you want and you're not thinking about the other plays that people make, what cards, what colors do they keep throwing down, then at the end you're going to end up having to draw and keep drawing and keep drawing, and the game will get extended. Hopefully enough of you have played Uno, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. I can't go through examples of every single game, but I think you know what I mean, right? So that's what a person who wants to reach higher levels, that's what they do. They can see really, really far in advance. And that's how they plan and strategize things. And they look at all the different variables at their disposal as well. So that's the second obstacle. Somebody who's not strategizing enough. The third and final obstacle is what? Is da'aful ra'i. It's having very weak ideas and opinions. Now, it seems similar to the first 2 ideas, and perhaps it's because it's an extension and a result of the first 2 things. If I don't have a lot of energy, I don't have a lot of motivation, then when I have to go and do something, I probably don't have the mental energy to even plan that much too. So I'll think about it for like a half a second. I'll plan for another half a second, and then I'll just say something or do something. Is that idea going to be a good idea? Probably not. You know, we were talking about it a few weeks ago, how some people, they just blurt out the first thing that comes to their mind. Right? Sometimes people are like, hey, what would be a good idea for, what game should we play? What should we, any question that comes to mind. And there's somebody that just says the first thing that comes to their mind, and it's like a really terrible idea. Really, really bad idea. Like, why would you say something like that? And that happens because we haven't thought about it enough. That's why truly smart, intelligent people, they will stop. They will be in silence for a few seconds. They'll think about it, and then they'll give an answer. Because I have to think about it first. I can't just say the first thing on my mind. I know sometimes we hear, oh, go with your gut feeling and your gut reaction. Well, that's actually not a good thing. We're told to think and reflect, right? That's the whole thing we've been talking about for the past few weeks. We're supposed to be thinking, reflecting on the past and planning for the future, right? That was tafakkur and tadabbur. That's what we should be doing. And when that happens, you see somebody who sits there, they're quiet, they're analyzing all the variables, they're strategizing, they come up with really, really brilliant ideas. And I'm sure you've sat around it where somebody gives a weak idea, right away you can say, well, that's not going to work because of this. Oh yeah, I forgot to think about that. Well, yeah, you have to think about it a bit more, and then you can see what the positives and negatives of some of these things would be. So hopefully, inshallah, let's go back again through these 3 ideas. The 3 things that will block us from achieving these higher goals and higher stations, reaching the perfection that Allah wants from each and every one of us, is 1, having low energy and low motivation. So we have to create it for ourselves and don't wait for it. The second is not strategizing and planning enough. So always make sure we spend time doing that. And the third is just blurting out weak ideas. Make sure we've done the first and second. Force ourselves to have that motivation, create it for ourselves. Sit there, strategize and plan, no matter how long it takes. And then we'll come up with better ideas, inshallah ta'ala. So hopefully Allah give us the ability to act on all of this. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ahli baytihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin.